If you start talking about WeWork to someone, chances are they're going to start discussing the downfall or the debacle of the organization at the hands of its then CEO Adam Neumann, who marked a series of controversies and missteps that ultimately led to his departure from the company, as a result of which WeWork faced a cancellation of its in-process IPO. But what those people will not tell you, because they are not themselves aware of it, is that WeWork has not only been busy with doing away of its blemishes and its ill reputation so garnered over the years, but rather the company has been making great strides, especially in India, where it has already turned profitable and has become an investor favorite once again. The firm, which started its India operations in 2017, has clocked 250% growth in earnings before interest, taxes, depreciation and amortization, registered 175 crore profit in Q3 of FY23 against a loss of 120 crore last year. This year, the company will be operating 6.5 million square feet of office space or 75,000 desks, which it will take to 95,000 by March 2024. On top of this, the company is already India's largest office space provider, aimed at creating flexible workspace options for companies or clients of all sizes, including individuals. So without any further ado, let's get to the elephant in the room. How did the company bounce back to become India's largest flexi working space provider even after its tumultuous journey so far? What has changed for WeWork, which has made the company one of the hotshots in the investors arena once again? What are the company's secret strategies helping it ride its success? Let's deep dive, analyze and find out in today's episode on WeWork India Success Turnaround. Chapter 1. The Demand for Change. Under Adam Neumann, apart from his leadership, one of the major factors which brought WeWork the backlash during its financial scrutinization was owing to the business model the company used to operate upon. So first, let's try to understand how WeWork's old business model worked and how the company pivoted away from this model to gain ground. So under WeWork's original business model, let's say the company leased a building with a 10-year lease for $100 million from a landlord, Babu Bhaiya. Now in order to generate revenue, WeWork would lease out individual offices within the building to customers on a short-term basis, such as 1-year leases. Let's say WeWork leased out these offices for a total of $150 million in the first year. This would therefore result in a cash flow surplus of $50 million for the first year. So the model sounds wonderful, right? Well, not in reality and only in theory. You see, this model has a big caveat attached to it. The long-term lease obligation of $10 million, which the company has to keep paying to Babu Bhaiya, even in adverse economic situations when the demand for co-working space goes down. So initially, if WeWork was getting 15 million from 10 renters to amount to 150 million in economic downturn, these renters could slip down to 5. Thus resulting in a shortfall or loss of 2.5 million, since the incoming rent of 10 million per year will directly go to Babu Bhaiya. And since most of these renters are startups, this increases the probability of the loss of renters situation to multifold, thereby making the business model insanely risk prone and unattractive for any investor. But let's backtrack a bit and ask this. Why did Babu Bhaiya take WeWork as a leasing tenant in the first place? Couldn't he have had the clients on his own and earning more? Well, you see, Babu Bhaiya often found WeWork's business model attractive because it helped him reduce vacancy rates and simplify management. For example, let's say Babu Bhaiya owns a building with 100 office units, each renting for $1,000 per month. If he tries to lease out these units individually, he may have to spend significant time and resources on advertising, negotiating the leases, and managing multiple tenants. Alternatively, if he leases the entire building to WeWork for a fixed period of 10 years and $1 million per year, he can reduce his management efforts and ensure a steady revenue stream. Additionally, WeWork's brand recognition and marketing efforts may help attract more tenants to the building, reducing the risk of vacancy. For instance, let's say the building has a historical vacancy rate of 10%, which means Babu Bhaiya may only have 90 tenants at any given time. With WeWork as the tenant, he may be able to attract enough tenants to fill all the 100 units, reducing the vacancy rate to 0. Chapter 2. The plurality of new models. Alright, so now we know why WeWork's old business model was in tatters and did not have the confidence of market so as to result in its IPO exit. So post the IPO cancellation, the company went back to the drawing board and redeveloped its business model from a more long-term perspective and sustainable perspective this time. In fact, apart from redevelopment, the company also decided not to put all eggs in one basket and therefore decided to remove the dependency on one single business model and sources of revenue. As a result, shifting the focus to multiple business models to inculcate into one portfolio. Coming on to the management agreement model first. In this model, for explainer purposes, let's say WeWork manages an office building owned by Babu Bhaiya, and like in earlier case, WeWork agrees to pay Babu Bhaiya a fixed amount every year, such as $10 million. But this time, leases out individual offices to customers on a long-term basis, such as 5-year leases. Now let's assume that WeWork leases out these offices for a total of $12 million per year, which as a result generates the company a positive cash flow of $2 million per year since the revenue exceeds its fixed lease cost to Babu Bhaiya. So if you analyze here, this management agreement model offers two major advantages to WeWork in comparison to old business model. Number one, since WeWork now itself is in long-term lease agreements, hence even in economic downturn, is liable to be paid by its tenant irrespective of financial capabilities and in turn making the model much more sustainable and viable. Number two, the longer term leases also provide greater stability and security for WeWork's customers, which can lead to higher occupancy rates and reduced vacancy risk for building owners like Babu Bhaiya, which further provides a more predictable revenue streams over longer durations. Now coming on to the next model adopted by WeWork, the revenue sharing model. So unlike management agreement model, WeWork here would not pay a fixed lease cost to Babu Bhaiya, but instead would enter into a partnership agreement with Babu Bhaiya to lease and manage the building, with both parties sharing in the revenue generated from the property by further subleasing individual office to the customers. The revenue split will be decided as per the negotiations between WeWork and Babu Bhaiya, and in the end, both the parties share the risk as well as the reward associated with the transactions. The third model, the hotel operator model. As per this model, WeWork acts as an aggregator between the customer and our landlord Babu Bhaiya. All the costs and revenues associated are directly borne by Babu Bhaiya in this case, and WeWork, just like other aggregator platforms like Amazon and Flipkart, takes a commission fee for its services so provided. This model makes WeWork's entire portfolio asset light in true sense, without having to worry about risks and rewards ratio or any economic downturn and financial misfortunes. Hence, if we are to analyze WeWork's business model now, the company has very carefully and with ingenuity segregated the strategies for revenues churn according to the risk and reward ratios. For geographies where the risk might be low but the reward higher, the company uses the management agreement model. If the geography entails medium risk and medium rewards in the revenues, the revenue sharing is the go-to strategy. While the high risk geographies like tier 2 and tier 3 cities decree for the hotel operator model, where being an aggregator seems to be the most profitable venture for the company. Now that's a strategic turnaround in the true sense. Chapter 3. The ingredients of success. In our previous chapters, we've discussed the redesigned business models the company has so adopted. But surely those cannot be the only ingredients to the company's runaway success in India, right? WeWork's success is majorly driven by the unit economics principle it has been implementing with its utter due diligence year after year at the time of pandemic. But then the question is, what is the unit economics principle exactly and how the firm has been utilizing it with efficacy? You see, under the unit economics principle, WeWork employs a very unique approach to assess the profitability of its various locations. This methodology is used to evaluate the financial performance of the single unit of business, such as the retail store or in WeWork's case, a co-working space. The process involves calculating the revenue generated by each WeWork location and then subtracting the direct expenses associated with that specific location, such as rent, utilities, and salaries for the staff working at that particular site. This resulting figure is known as the contribution margin, which represents the profit generated by that location before accounting for corporate level overhead expenses. By analyzing the contribution margin of each WeWork location, the company can determine which locations are generating a profit and which ones require improvement. This information can be used to make strategic decisions about expanding or contracting specific locations based on their profitability. This emphasis on unit economics helps WeWork to focus on the profitability of each location and make decisions that are beneficial for the company as a whole. Can the company ride on the robustness and the capabilities so developed and dream back on its IPO entry once again? Well, let's wait and watch. For the time being, if you liked the episode, hit that like button below and subscribe to the channel for more such enriching content. I'll see you all in the next episode. Mindfulness signing off.